Welcome to this session of mindfulness, awareness, and compassion practice. What we'll be doing today is going through a sequence of short practices, introducing them and refreshing your memory if you've been here before, so that you can do them on your own and extend them out however long you'd like. The idea is to continually extend the practice, but not go so far that you kind of lose track and get completely lost. Sometimes there'll be days where that starts right away, and that might be what you're working with in the practice, the going off and coming back, because the mind tends to do that, go off and come back. Our bodies are always in the here and now, as far as space and time location goes, but our mind is a time machine and goes off into the past and future. When there are particularly emotional situations, it can be much more busy and energetically going back and forth to the past, the future, elsewhere in the present, thinking about what one might say, thinking about what one did say. I call it replaying or pre-playing. And sometimes people ask, well, if you're not thinking about the future, can't you make plans? It's fine to think about the future if you know that you're in the present and that's what you're doing is thinking about the future, rather than the mind going off into a fantasy as if you're already in the future. That's really the difference. Now, what does it mean to practice meditation? Well, I often don't even use the word meditation because people have this idea that you're going to be sitting with your eyes closed and reciting a mantra or saying Om. And those practices do exist, but what we're working with is trying to be more authentically present in our own experience and genuinely responsive to others. So that's not how we don't walk around with our eyes closed reciting a mantra. Otherwise, we'll bump into things and bump into people. So it's a different kind of practice. Now, are we trying to develop awareness? Well, not exactly. And this came out of a conversation a couple of days ago with a group of golfers who are focused on a more spiritual approach to the game, not religious, but spiritual. And so one was saying, well, you don't try to do meditation to get anything. At the same time, I pointed out, well, you do have to practice, but it's more of an undoing than trying to do something. And the reading I want to give, I, feeling some sadness right now. Not long ago, one of my closest teachers passed away, and he'd been around a long time. He escaped from Tibet when the Chinese communists invaded in the late 1950s. So he was 91 years old, but it's still sad. His name was Trungpa Rinpoche, T-H. I'll put his name in the chat here for people who are on the call. There, and I'm going to do this reading about mindful awareness practice. What is mindful awareness? It is not the creation of something new and sensational, nor is it the finding of something that was hidden. Rather, it is a matter of understanding what our mind has always been naturally from the beginning. The only problem we have is that we've never looked directly at our mind and therefore haven't experienced our mind as it is. So the nature of mind is awareness itself. the practice we have is, instead of looking out for reasons why we feel the way we do, turning it around and looking in, saying, what is it that's experienced these things? What is it in me? How does the mind work? With an open curiosity and a non-judgmental attitude about it. So if we find our mind is very busy, we notice that it's very busy, rather than judging and saying, oh, what's wrong with me? If our mind is quiet, we go, oh, that's nice and calm. That feels good. But if I get attached to it, then I'll get disappointed when it's not this way, because everything changes. So ultimately, it's really having a sense of humor about the fact that this is how the mind functions. This is how we are. This is how we have an opportunity for better understanding and ways of working with our mind. But the fact that it's always changing, and being willing to dance with that rather than needing it to be a particular way. One of the things we talk about a lot is the difference between wanting and needing. It's fine to want things to be a particular way, but if you need them to be a particular way, you're set up for disappointment. One of my teachers said, no appointments, no disappointments. So that doesn't mean that you can't make plans and can't schedule things, but understand that everything changes. And when we have that bigger perspective and the openness to change, and being willing to have the flexibility to go with it, then we'll find that our experience is much, much less frustrating. And the less frustrating it is, the less resentment we have, and resentment is the greatest poison, then we can really be more authentically present, and we can be genuinely responsive to others. If we don't need so much for things to be a particular way for ourselves, then we can be there in a more effective and compassionate way for others. So that's the overview. And let's get started, and we'll go through the sequence of practices, and then we can have some discussion. So we start with posture, because it's helpful to have a posture, and our mind and our body connect together, so that when we're slumped down, our mind kind of picks up that things aren't going so well. When we're upbeat, it's fine. Our breathing is connected with our mental energy as well. When we're uptight, our breathing is up here and sometimes just stops, like a deer in the headlights. When we're relaxed, it's soft and slow and much more natural. So what we want to do is have a posture that facilitates that breathing and expresses an attitude of openness and confidence. So we sit up, because that's a good way to pay attention. Traditionally in this practice, if you try to do it lying down, you tend to fall asleep. And if you do it standing up, you tend to get antsy and move and not so stable. So whatever seat you're on, whether it's a cushion on the floor or a chair, feel your sit bones pressing into that cushion. Feel your back extending up, upright but not rigid. You can even move a little side to side or forward to back to feel what, you can't describe what centered feels like. You just know that it's not left or right, forward or back. So get that feeling, and let that uprightness extend beyond your back up to your neck and the back of your head. I'll turn my device a little bit more to the side so you can see if we sit like this with our chin forward, our back is slumped. If we sit upright, but our head's tilted down, it kind of blocks our breathing. If our chin's tilted up, we get kind of spaced out. Here we get sleepy, here we get spaced out. So if the back of your head is upright, the chin comes in naturally, and that's your attention posture. For your legs, you can have if you're in a chair, you can have your feet flat on the floor, straight under your knees, not tucked under or stretched out. And if your knees are higher than your hips, if your legs are long and your knees are higher than your hips, it's better to gently cross your legs at the ankles in front of you. Again, about where the distance from you that your knees are, straight under where your knees are. But that lets your knees come down a little below your hips. If you're on a cushion, you want to sit that way as well. Let your arms just hang straight from your sides. Leave the elbows where they are and swivel your hands up, palm down on each thigh respectively. Now, we talked about your back. As far as your front goes, your sternum, I'm going to tilt this a little bit, there. Your sternum goes from a notch up here to a notch down here. And about a third of the way up is a little tender spot right there, right in the center of your chest. Feel like that extends just slightly forward and slightly up, just like that, tiny bit. Great teacher once said, when I tell you to take an aspirin, I mean one or two, not the whole bottle. So just slight adjustment, just that much. What you'll feel that does, it takes a little bit of energy and a little bit of muscle work, but if you only focus on that spot going up and forward, naturally your shoulders go back a little, shoulder blades come together a little bit, you'll feel that. Your chin actually comes in a little bit. Your sit bones press into the cushion a little more, and your chest feels open, and your breathing opens up. You'll find it easier to breathe, and your breath feels fuller. So that's really the main work we have a little bit in the is to notice that and let your chest not collapse, but up and open, just a little bit. We want our jaw relaxed, but not our mouth just hanging open. So your lips are either just barely parted or just lightly touching. We breathe mainly through our nose, definitely in through the nose. If some air comes out through your mouth as you breathe out, that's okay. And for the first part of this practice, let your eyes gently close. And as the gong fades, let your awareness pervade your body. Feel your feet, ankles, calves, knees, thighs. Feel your legs. Feel how they connect into your hip joints, your skeleton with the muscles surrounding it. Your torso, as we said, upright. Feel the depth of your torso, not just across and up and down, but you have some depth back to front. So as you breathe, you can feel your torso expanding and contracting, feeling that depth front to back. Feel your shoulders and your arms, again, how your arms connect into your shoulder joints, upper arms, forearms, hands, and fingers. Feel your neck and your head balanced on your neck, on top of your shoulders. Full body experience. Too often we're just in our head and it's like our body's carrying this head around, doing whatever it gets ordered to do. But we're a whole being. Our mind, our body, our energy. Feel the energy in your mind pervading your body. And we want to let go of any unnecessary tension so that our uprightness is like a tent pole and the rest of the tent, the canvas is all hanging around it before it's pulled out, taut into a tent. We walk around a little bit taut a lot of the time. So just be aware, are you clenching your jaw? Are your face muscles tightened? Your neck and shoulders, we often have a lot of tension there. Just let your shoulders hang down. We have a little tension in our chest because we're holding it up and open a little extra. But anything other than that tension, let anything in your torso just soften and relax down to your deep belly and pelvic region. Arms and legs. Just let the tension melt. Anything you don't need to hold your posture. And center your awareness deep in the core of your torso, a few inches below the navel, just in front of the spine. That's the core of our energy as well. It radiates from there throughout our body, upward through our torso and our arms, downward through our hips and legs. Let your breathing be natural, just coming and going. Let the body breathe itself. You can be aware of it without having to control it. Make it very soft, but you can still feel the subtle expansion and contraction deep in your core. Let's make that the object of our attention for the next couple of minutes. Awareness of your posture. Awareness of that feeling of filling and emptying, the gentle expansion and contraction in your core. And let your eyes open just a little bit, no more than halfway, so that you're looking downward under your eyelids. It's an awareness of the space that you're sitting in. It's better if you're not looking right into your device, but just turned in a way that you can experience some space that you're sitting in. Soften your gaze so you're not focused on a spot, but looking in that downward direction in front of you, and then aware of the space in front and a little bit to your sides. So awareness of your body and posture in the space, and focus on that feeling of filling and emptying. And if your mind wanders off into a series of thoughts, into a daydream, at some point it'll pop, and at that moment you're already back. And you can make a little mental note, thought or thinking, But that's just code for I was off into the past or future. I'm back, and let's return to what I was doing. Awareness of the core, expanding and contracting. Awareness of my body sitting in its posture. We'll do that for a couple of minutes. Refresh and reinvigorate your posture. And now open your eyes normally. You'll see that your vision rests naturally, not straight out to the horizon, but slightly downward, but ahead of you, so we don't have anything other than the ordinary way that our eyes rest. But now soften your gaze and open up your peripheral vision. Whatever direction you're looking at, rather than looking at something, it's as if you're looking at the space between you and that object, the space in the room, the space that you're sitting in front and all around, a more panoramic awareness. The last practice we did was close mindfulness. Now we move to open awareness. Let the body breathe itself. And although you're aware of the in breath, your main attention is on the out breath. As the breath goes out into the space in the room, into the atmosphere, into the air in the room, your breath mixes with the air in the room and diffuses, opens up, and becomes one with the air in the room. We use that as a metaphor or analogy. As the breath goes out, ride out, let your awareness go out with it. Out, open, diffuse into the space that you're sitting in. So your mind and the space become one. The breath goes out, your mind, your awareness opens out, and then rests in that open spaciousness as the body breathes in by itself. Out, diffuse, open, and rest in that spaciousness. Out, open, rest. We'll do that for a couple of minutes. Again, if your mind wanders off into a daydream, the same thing with a sense of humor. Smile. You go, that was thinking. Back to open posture, space, open awareness, out breath. And now raise your gaze looking straight ahead. Open up your peripheral vision, but now we're going to let the mind wander among sense perceptions. Notice colors, shapes, and shades of light in your vision, in the big field of vision. Open up your hearing in all directions. All sounds, loud and soft, high-pitched and low, near and far. Notice bodily sensations, how your posture feels, different points, how your feet contact the floor, sit bones, your chair, cloth or skin under your hands, clothes on your shoulders and legs, chest and back, cool, dry air coming in your nostrils, warm, moist air going out. And you can let your mind wander from sense perception to sense perception. If a sound captures your mind, listen for a bit. If your awareness moves to objects in your field of vision, just notice colors, shapes, and shades of light and dark. A label may come up, just let it come and go. No need for extra commentary. You may even notice a smell or a taste, any of your 5 perceptions. And now focus on your 6th perception, which is your own thoughts. It's a mental perception. You perceive your thoughts. So just sit and watch as thoughts appear, dwell, and disappear, replaced by other thoughts. Notice words or images. Reconnect with your posture and move if you need to. And for this last practice, you can do it either with your eyes open or closed. This is more of a contemplation and an imagination practice. But begin with thinking of someone very close to you who you care for dearly, family or friend, who might be going through some difficulty, physical or mental, emotional. And take your good posture, open your heart again. You can even put your hand there if you want to, palm down, palm against your chest. Feel your open heart. We all have heart. We all have a heart of compassion and caring. We want our loved one to be free of suffering. We want them to be content, at peace, happy. So imagine that as you breathe in, you're drawing out from them all the suffering and the causes of their suffering, physical or mental, enveloping them, gathering them in, and embracing them with your heart of compassion, which transforms them. And as you breathe out, radiate out from that your heart of compassion, cool moonlight of caring and kindness that fills their bodies and replaces the suffering with peace, health, and happiness. Peace, health, and contentment. Breathe in and take away their suffering. Breathe out, send them peace, health, and contentment. And as best you can, expand that to all your loved ones, all your friends and family. Imagining that as you breathe in, you draw out whatever suffering or struggle they're going through. Embrace it in your heart of compassion, which transforms it. Breathe out and radiate out the cool moonlight of kindness that fills all their beings with peace, health, and contentment. Match your posture to that feeling with an open heart, open chest. Breathing in suffering and struggle, radiating out peace, health, and contentment. As best you can, include everyone you've ever met, people you like, are indifferent toward, or have difficulty with. Start to tune into the causes of unhappiness for yourself and others, the negative emotions. And as you breathe in, Embrace all those negative emotions in your tender heart of compassion, your own and others. Greed and attachment, pride and jealousy, anger, fear, hatred. All those are the causes of suffering. The deepest one of ignorance. Gather those into your heart of compassion. They transform and radiate out the opposite. Wisdom, acceptance, forgiveness, love, caring. And as best you can, extend that to all beings, all living beings, human and otherwise. All struggle and would like to be free from fear and suffering. All want health and contentment. Imagine all the perpetrators of aggression and violence. Take away the causes of that aggression and violence. Ignorance, fear, hatred. Radiate out the opposite. Wisdom, caring, kindness, acceptance, forgiveness. And as the gong sounds, just let go of the imagination, let go of the visualization. Lower your gaze and just be more with your body, your breathing, the space you're sitting in. And that concludes our session of mindfulness, awareness, and compassion practice. Let's not quite conclude, but our intention at the end is always to benefit others. So we can go further with that and say, I want to continue that in my everyday life. And as an expression of that, I want to dedicate whatever I learned, whatever I experienced today in this practice session for the benefit of others. So you can repeat after me or put it in your own words. May the practice I've just done be of benefit to others as well as myself. And of course, to cultivate generosity or express generosity and compassion and caring, we can say, may the practice I've just done be of even more benefit to others than to myself. So thank you, and that concludes our practice session for today.